Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to season 2 of Conversations in Pop Culture, where I have with me, and I might get the name wrong, but professional wrestler Zachary Pierre Beaulieu, ZPB. I'm sure that I might have mispronounced that, and I will be some point corrected. And this is the time to correct me if I messed it up.
Just a lot. Just a lot. Not a problem. Beaulieu, Zachary Pierre Beaulieu. It's as French Canadian as it gets.
So I tried, and I was not going to get it, and I admit defeat when I am defeated. But having said all that, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate the invite.
Now, I am very excited because obviously I came and saw you on Limitless The Road, and I want to talk about that in a little bit. And I do want to talk a lot about the last 3 years because I think you've been killing it as a singles wrestler. And I watched a bunch of interviews that you've done with other people, and I feel like they missed the other big component of what you've done, and you are a well-known tag team wrestler.
Tag team whore, absolutely.
And so I want to talk about Rave, which is your first tag team.
I have to go, so thanks for having me.
So clearly that says it all.
I'm going to need a lot more wine if we're talking Rave here. Woo!
And so this is old school. This is deep, dark down New England.
2004, yeah.
With Christian Frost, of all people, I think Eastern Wrestling Alliance. So there's a lot of stuff that happened. So how did this team come about, for starters?
Actually, my old partner, Christian Frost, and I, we got in the business together. We started lifelong friends, and just as luck would have it, my father grew up with my wrestling trainer, Kevin Landry, and he had a school in the hometown that I grew up in Chicopee, Massachusetts. And one thing led to another. I'd go to the school as a kid. And then, I'm like, hey, train me. And he's like, when you're old enough. So when I was 16, 17 years old, Christian and I, we decided to take the plunge, and we started training there. So, we were a team, personal friendship wise, beforehand going in. And then once we were fully trained, it was just natural to put us together as a tag team. We were about the same size back then. He was bigger, but we just did our thing. And our original entrance music was "What Is Love" from Night at the Roxbury. So that was just the gimmick going with it. So it was just as outlandish as you can get on that SNL parody, and just took it from there.
And so to even talk about this, because tag team wrestling is an art form, and I feel that
Absolutely.
It's very much underrated. And I feel like people like the Young Bucks have brought it back tremendously. The Hardy Boys have done a lot of work in that sector. And I even think that if you look at New Age, Dash Wilder and his partner, whose name is skipping me, and I can't think of their names in AEW, have done a great job.
Dawson, I think, yeah.
But one of the things that I think is really cool is that your tag team, obviously there's a personal friendship, and then you train together, and now you're wrestling together a lot. So what was that like? Because you have a lot of chemistry in that realm, and I think that's something that a lot of tag teams don't have. I mean, the Young Bucks and the Hardys are, siblings, which helps a lot as well, but a lot of tag teams are not related in that realm.
Yeah, it's you need to have a connection outside the ring to a degree. You need to be able to know each other's ins and outs, mannerisms, what works or what doesn't work. So right off the bat, when Chris and I were wrestling, we knew each other very well. I was the smaller of the two, essentially. So, I would do a little more of the, high flying, and he was a little more grounded that way. But, as green as we were, we did what we thought was best, just learning as much as we could. But the connection and the brotherhood right there, it's just, you need that to mesh to work as a team, because it may be believable to you guys, but you need to make everybody else believable. And as, fiery young baby faces back then, a little easier to pull off when you're, 17, 18-year-old kids, leather pants and, techno music and glow sticks and everything. I mean, might as well have just been an advertisement for ecstasy for all I knew. The meshing together works wonders, and it really shows when you have a team that meshes together personally in the ring versus a team that you just throw, generic wrestler number A and B here and see what you got. And, sometimes you get magic with that, but other times it just falls flat. But if you have something of a personal connection outside the ring beforehand, that usually works very well.
Well, given how you were coming out to all disco music, glow sticks, and you called yourself Team Rave, I think it's perfect. I think it's perfect collectively, and I think it's brilliant, and I love the concept of this. And
I mean, you can think I think Brutal Bob Evans was the one that gave us the name. He was booking NECW at the time. He's like, "You guys, you're Rave." Why? I don't know. It's good. It'll sell posters. Okay, Bob. Thanks. Appreciate it.
But even going beyond the gimmick, and obviously I'm poking a little bit of fun there, I do think you had some amazing matches. And one of the things that I think you had a great rivalry with Aaron Morrison and Johnny Idol, who you faced twice, as well as Sabotage, which was DC Dillinger, and Eddie Edwards, Eddie Edwards, and that was good, and that was capturing gold. And even the Logan
our first time getting a championship ever in wrestling, so that was good. That trusted us.
And then even the Logan brothers as well. And so I just think like a lot of these early matches, and this is kind of what I wanted to talk about, because I think that a lot of people miss this, and this was good wrestling. And it was great. And considering that you were young and coming in and hungry, and you got this gimmick that's obviously sort of fun, gets a little bit of attention, but then you got the wrestling to back it up. And I think that's what made it work. So what was it like facing these teams and really wrestling these teams? And you won some, you lost some. Obviously, you got your first gold and all that stuff. And even tasting that and having all that experience with these like bunch of wrestlers.
Thank you for that. I do appreciate that. The big thing with that is, especially most of those matches were with NECW and Sheldon Goldberg back in the early 2000s, and we had the ring rental, so we would do the ring all the time. And even before we started doing matches, I'd say about a year or two beforehand, we were the guys showing up early, setting the ring up, watching the shows, seeing who these guys were, and then tearing down and driving back and not wrestling. And then you just kept learning over time, getting to know these guys a little bit. They didn't care who we were. We were just doing the ring, but we cared enough to just know who these guys were because, hey, we want to work here. This is what we wanted to do. So when it came time that we were finally ready to wrestle matches, I'm not going to say that we knew them, but we had an idea, and mouth shut, ears open. We knew nothing. We were green as hell, and it was just they know what they're doing, so we're going to listen to them, and we're going to try to tell the story and put something together. And yes, we're athletic, and yeah, there's things that we can do, but it's just about communicating with each other and trying to get the best match across that we can. And as fiery young baby faces, that was easy. The crowd absolutely loved us, which was awesome. And they hated them, or sometimes, especially with the Logans, they were a big team too. So it was just, good, face team. That was a lot of fun wrestling. But it's just learning as much as you can. And we were just really lucky at the time to wrestle with some great wrestlers who have gone on even after that to do amazing things. And it's just an honor just to have been able to do that and learn so well so early in our careers, especially with tag team wrestling, because most guys start off in singles. So we started off at tag team. So we had, I don't know if you want to call it an advantage, but psychological. It was just different knowing how we were going to be in the ring, and now we have to throw this new dynamic in that you don't utilize all the time, especially in practice.
And I think you just mentioned something super important, and I think it's something that a lot of young people can learn. I'm 27. I don't know how old you are. I think you're a little bit older than me, but I think a lot of young people don't understand the concept of shut up and listen to people who are older than you, even if what they're not saying makes sense at the moment. They might be telling you something super important, and it's kind of, you have one mouth and two ears for a reason. And I think in wrestling in particular, that's something that a lot of young wrestlers don't understand. I had Logan Easton LaRue on my show, and he asked Matt Hardy, and he doesn't mind. He told the story publicly, and he asked Matt Hardy to critique a match, and then he started like saying, "Oh, I did this for this thing," and Matt Hardy said to him, "You know, great match, kid," and then Matt Hardy just left him alone. And the point of the story is that sometimes in life, you know, when you have a veteran, you know, telling you something, they're giving you great advice for free, and if you just shut up and listen, you're going to do better off with it. So I want to highlight that point extremely well, because I think it's super important to acknowledge that. And then also I want to talk about that tag team title getting gold for the first time. That's a big pivotal moment. So what was that like, facing a young Eddie Edwards and DC Dillinger and that match? Because obviously you're young, relatively an early match in your career, and now belts are on you for a little bit. So what was that entire story happening?
That was we were Chris and I were a team that was the word is slipping my mind now, but we were a good hand. We were always there on time. So, and we were always putting on decent matches. You know, at least they thought all our matches were solid. We're reliable guys. We're safe guys. We're not gonna we're not going
somebody.
to. You what?
Injure somebody?
Yeah. We're not gonna injure anybody. So I think they thought that we were reliable at the time, and we had been there for, I think it was only like 8 or 9 months, but the crowd really, really caught on to us. They liked these two young kids, and, you know, they found something to root for. So when they decided to give us the belts, it was kind of a shock. I wasn't expecting it that early, but it was an honor. And, you know, we took that with, we took that in stride. You know, I'm not going to let anything get to our heads or anything. You know, it's professional wrestling. It means the world to me. But at the same time, you know, for them to rely on you to have a belt, you know, you're going to carry the tag team division in this company. And it was like, oh, okay, well, this is a huge honor. Thank you for that. I'm a very humble individual. So it was very humbling for me. I enjoyed it because I enjoyed working with everybody. And then in that match specifically, you know, we had worked with DC and Eddie a couple of times before, and I think they were in a feud with Pride at the time, which was I think Freitas and Nunes, and they had a whole screw job angle. They got hit with chairs or anything, and we come off the top rope with double team finishers, and, you know, big reaction from the crowd because nobody saw that coming. So it was, you know, one thing, you know, the okay for us, and the crowd didn't expect it either. So it was a big wide-eyed experience. Like, you know, finally in wrestling, you know, you want the gold, you want the belt. So being so young and getting a tag belt so quickly is like, all right, well, this is the start. This is what it feels like. So now it's like, all right, now we have to continue at this level that we're performing at. And again, we're 8 and 9 months in. We're not good in that sense, but we're green. We're still learning. You know, even now, I'm still learning as in this business. I have shitty matches all the time, but I also have very good matches a lot. So it's just you never get complacent, even if you have a belt. You just always strive to get better and better.
So I'm not a wrestler. I don't pretend to be one. I can't enter a ring for a variety of reasons, and I would be terrified to enter a wrestling ring, and I have no desire to beyond ever being a ring announcer. That's as good of a ring I'm going to get in. But I have goals, and when I get a big interview, I strive, and when I get something big, it makes me want the next big thing. And so my question is that obviously when you get these belts, you're 9 months in, give or take, and you obviously have gotten a taste of gold and what it means to be at somewhat the top of a mountain. But you're very humble, and then you also probably realize that there's a hell of a lot more of a mountain to climb. But obviously, you need that taste, and when you taste it once, you want to maintain it, and you
absolutely
want the next thing. And so, what is that like? That okay, we're the tag team here. We're going to hold these belts for X amount of time, and you had a bunch of matches. But also, hey, I want this feeling, and I know now what it means to win a belt, because that is an important thing. You know, it's important to be. You know, we see it in sports all the time where, Tom Brady's a winner. The guy who knows how to win because he tasted victory once and he knows what drives. Eli Manning to some degree. And I know I'm a Giants fan. We might be mortal enemies on the gridiron, but I digress. But you have to have that winner's blood in you. So how did that change your perspective when you went out, even after you dropped the belts?
It gave me the confidence to know that, regardless of what I thought of myself as a wrestler or as a person in the business, I know that the people that are making these decisions rely on myself and my partner, that we are people that can be relied on, like I had mentioned earlier. So with that sense in us, it was like, all right, well, we got to be a little bit more professional, a little carrying ourselves a little bit better. And in retrospect, I'm saying this, and we were still young kids then, so I'm not saying we screwed up or anything, but you try to you're maturing a little earlier than normal, I think anyway, when we had that responsibility on us. And then again, it's just working other places with your partner, trying to go in you have a quote unquote resume of wrestling. All right, well, they have the belts here, so they're reliable guys here. They put good work in, so book them elsewhere all over the place.
And then I'm going to skip a bunch of stuff because you sort of disbanded in 2005 and you wanted to do a singles career for a while. And then obviously you and Christian had your feud and wrestled each other a lot. So what was that entire thing like when you guys went at each other for probably a good year on and off a little bit, knowing that you were in a tag team and you know everything about your partner and your partner knows everything about you? And obviously there were some other people that got involved as well. And that kind of creates a very interesting dynamic because now you know somebody so well.
That is probably one of my favorite parts in wrestling, is just being able to wrestle a good friend or somebody that you have such good chemistry with, because as fun as it is teaming with them, and I've done that 100 million times, as I said before, I'm tag team whore. I've had partners and belts with everybody, but to actually be in the ring and wrestling with them, it's very hard to explain because you just know each other's ticks, you know each other's ins and outs, so you don't even have to talk to each other about anything. It's just boom, 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 and you think you guys are on the same page thinking wise, and then you're going to do one thing, he's going to do something else, and you know what to do, and it's just you're dancing together and you're putting on a phenomenal dance per se, and it's just like absolutely perfect for the most part. And again, it's hard to put into words, but that is just my favorite part. And again, the first time with that, when I was doing that with Christian, was absolutely perfect because there's a lot of give and take there. Him being a little bit bigger than me, we were able to do a little more versatile stuff. And again, being still young and green, we probably did some stuff that we had no business doing. But again, that's how you're going to learn. You're going to make mistakes. And some of them turned out awesome, others not so much. But it's just a constant flow, and you're constantly learning. Because again, like you mentioned earlier, we ask everybody that we respected in the locker room, can you watch our match? What do you think? And again, ears open, mouth shut, and just listen to what they say. As you get better in the business and more, there's opinions that you are going to value more than others. So you're going to ask certain individuals. There's somebody that's like, oh, I've been in the business 10 years, and they've had like 6 matches. Well, I'm not going to ask your opinion. I'm going to ask this guy who's been in the business 2 years, but he's had 200 matches. So it's just being able to value who you are as an individual and as a wrestler, and being able to value your opponent, but then the people in the locker room or the people that are watching the matches, and just trying to see where their head's at, because they may not be on the same page as you, but they're going to give you advice on other things you could do or could have done, give or take, and then that just puts it into your brain. Oh, I can do this next time, and it just keeps going through.
And I like that you mentioned that you did experiment a lot in these matches with Christian and things like that, and you did some things that were great and things that weren't great, and it's kind of cool that you obviously knew somebody to experiment with versus doing it with somebody that you don't have great chemistry with. And one of the things that I like about this entire story is that pretty much almost 8 years later, the two of you reunited for a few more matches. And in 2013 in Right Coast Pro Wrestling, and pretty much those matches were all with Kip Stevens. And Kip Stevens.
Yes, completely different gimmick. But again, teaming with him again was so much better because, you know, then we were heels. So we had very, very little interaction as a tag team doing that. So it was good to go down to Delaware and be able to utilize that as a team because you know, it's the same partner and everything, but hey, it's just a fresh take on it. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I am a fan of you more as a heel than a face. I'll be the first person to say it. I think you embody a heel so well, and that kind of brings me to my point to talk about Monarchy, because I love tag team wrestling, and we're talking about it all because you are, and this is what I mean, in which that I've seen so many interviews when I was doing my homework on you, and like everybody's missed talking about this, and I think some of this stuff is like your best work that you've ever done in the ring. And so William King is the formation of Monarchy, and you had some real fights in Connecticut with Anthony Battle and Nocturne for the Connecticut Wrestling Entertainment Tag Team titles, and also more of the Logan brothers, and I mean these, and also Team Tremendous, you know, Bill Carr and Dan Barry. Yep. So obviously this is something that these were like wars and fights, and I mean this wasn't like, oh, we're having a small rivalry. I mean, these 6 guys and the two of you really pushed each other to new levels.
I loved CTWE, where we initially formed a tag team. That promotion was absolutely amazing. I miss it to this day, just the way it was run, and the promos we're able to do and the stories we're able to tell. It's just so much raw material there. But in teaming with Billy King, he is, can I swear? He's fucking amazing. He was absolutely great. I learned so much from him. He just had this natural aura to him that he just got everything just like that. And it was just, it was magic. The two of us with the whole wigs and everything, that materialized over time again. And I had started wrestling a little bit before Billy, and we had known each other a little bit, and we had wrestled each other a few times, but never meshed. And then all right, well, then they teamed us up, and it clicked. And then putting Marshall McNeil with us as our manager was just like the icing on the cake. It was magic.
And the name helped tremendously because that just got heat. It got the pop.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's so simple because it's the concept of Monarchy. It's this concept of almost walking down, and it's I'm better than you. And obviously, the two of you were killing it, and you guys obviously you were more experienced because you also were coming off of a singles career at the same time, and just everything that took place. And this is why I say these were battles, because this wasn't just matches anymore. This was like, I'm pushing these people that I've wrestled once, twice, and maybe I've wrestled them like 30 times with another partner. And now I'm bringing it to a whole new height. And then I have a partner who's doing that too. And that's why I want to talk about this, because I think it's so interesting, the entire Monarchy tag team, because it just shows how pieces fit perfectly together.
Absolutely.
And I loved it. I love everything, what I've seen of it. And I haven't seen everything, but when I was seeing this, I'm like, holy shit, like this is really good tag team wrestling. And even though it's like almost 10 years old at this point, it still stands up today.
Has it been that long? Wow. Yeah. That again, to CTWE's credit, they had a very big online presence as a promotion. before I think a lot of other places did it. So we would shoot our promos before a match, after a match, and they upload them. So even the people that missed the shows, they could see everything beforehand. And then we packed the venue. We were always in Bethany, Connecticut, where I think NEW runs there now, and we packed that place, and it was just so much fun. And then being able to do that there was great. And then we took it on the road. We wrestled upstate New York a lot. Where I think in the Troy area, where to this day my favorite promo of all time is just the three of us, me, Marshall, and Billy coming out, and Marshall talks, then Billy talks, and I talk, and then in the background lightly is Bittersweet Symphony, our theme song, and it just was our debut at this promotion, and it just embodied everything that the Monarchy was. And every now and then I'll just look at it to just give myself a big smile, because it was so perfect. And that tag team to this day is probably my favorite tag team of all time, just because of how much I learned and how much fun I had. It was just perfect in any way, shape, and form that was. Again, like I said, to this day is amazing, and credits and cheers to Billy King for being able to put that together and just unite us and just bring out the best in myself, which is hard to do with myself. I'm very much of a timid individual, and to just bring that out in this just I'm going to beat your ass, and just this terrible French accent is just it's great. It was just a lot of fun.
And then what I think added to this is the formation of the Aristocrats was really an expansion of this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Tomahawk came in. I know that Tomahawk, you had a few matches with Tomahawk and Jeremy Leary, and Jeremy Leary's killing it right now in the
absolutely
he's doing, and how he's just being not so nice up and limitless, but that's neither here nor there.
Putting some of his best work in, may I add. Leary, anyway. I was telling him that
so good.
Some of the best work I've seen him do.
He's so good, especially coming off of the match with Chris Stratlander and Ashley Vox, and that entire thing. So good, and he's probably had like the best rebound in wrestling in the last few years, and he's killing it. And they're just going to keep on going with the Hive. It's a brilliant concept.
Absolutely.
But even just bringing in Tomahawk, bringing in Wolfgar. And those two, and how did they come into the Monarchy, which then became the Aristocrats? And even that's a great name, because it's even topical today. It's so elitist. Like, I love it. Like, it's so perfect for a heel group to be that elitist and have that name.
Yeah, it was
brilliant. Just brilliant.
It was just kind of just expanding the Monarchy, and bringing in again, people that we meshed with, people that we enjoyed with. I think I had teamed with Wolfgar at a few other places, and we, I think our team name, I think Kingdom and Country. I think he was Norway, I was France, and that was great. Then we go into PvP, and we bring in Wolfgar, it's great, and then we have this whole big feud with Leary and Tomahawk. Tomahawk turns, we get him in, and here I am, myself, with essentially three of my favorite people in the business as teammates, and just putting on so much, just putting on these matches that are just so much fun. And again, it was just such a pleasure to be able to wrestle with them as a team, and just, some of the best times are just, getting together before or after a match and talking it over about, what went right, what went wrong, or beforehand, hey, what should we do? It's just so much fun.
Yeah, and to talk about one of these matches, and it was what was essentially a trios match, was against Ace Romero, Anthony Green, and Xavier Bell. And obviously Ace Romero is great, and Anthony Green's in WWE now, and he's been on my show twice, and he's a brilliant mind in wrestling. And I'm not as familiar with Xavier Bell as I am with the other two. But what was that like? Because you obviously are wrestling arguably one of the greatest wrestlers out there in the world, who's Anthony Green. And the retrosexual stuff is brilliant and it's gimmicky, but he's so good.
Yeah.
And he has such a mind for wrestling. And he understands how to do everything in wrestling too, and he's so good at it.
Yeah. When was that match? I'm just drawing a slight blank on when.
Man. It might have been 16, I want to say.
You remember where?
Oh man, wow, that's slipping my mind too, off the top of my head. I have a lot of things in my head.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember it as vividly. I do remember wrestling with Anthony Green a bunch of times, and
he's so good. And
I just love seeing him evolve from being a referee, and to where he's at now. I have nothing but respect and admiration for that guy. He deserves everything good that comes to him.
He is one of two people to be in a match with a Bella twin out of WWE. He has that on his bucket list.
Ah, yes.
It's a very, very, very cool thing that he has, and it's very, very interesting. I forgot which one accompanying him out. I think it might have been Nikki who accompanied him out, and it's on YouTube, and it's great because you have him, and he doesn't look like anything like Anthony Green looks like.
Yeah, I was at that show. It was a lot of fun.
It's a great match. It's awesome because this was like when they took like their 9-month hiatus and they didn't sign, and they did like 3 wrestling matches outside of WWE, and he's like him and then the other person across, and then they did another match, and that was like the 3 matches they did outside of WWE, and it's crazy. But I digress. But even just having matches like those, I think are amazing with this, and this is why I love this team. And then obviously, Wolfgar and you won the Revival Pro Wrestling tag team titles too.
Yep.
And so obviously you're capturing belts here with some creation of this team. So what was that like? Because obviously this is sort of in, I guess, the New England territory, if we were to call it a territory, all these companies. And so what is it like when you're a little bit older and you have more experience, and obviously this is your second, third and a half tag team you're in, and now all these companies are trusting you to represent them in the tag team division?
Yeah. At that point, that was probably even going almost into double digits tag team. At that point, I had done a lot of tag team wrestling in other places in other New England places with more partners in between that as well. So that's why they didn't last nearly as long. But at that point, that was one of the most fun I've ever had in wrestling, just especially in PvP and in with the Aristocrats group. But, at that point, I had been, in the business for, I'm a couple of years short of 20 years at this point now. So I was probably a little over 10 years in, and I had seen and done a lot of things personally that I had wanted to do. So I would never call myself a vet in any at all, but I had been around enough, so I knew what to look for and how to carry myself. A belt is a belt. It's great. They trust you, but you got to hold yourself to a higher degree. So there's no more youth in it. Like, oh my God, this is awesome. It's kind of like, all right, well, I got this, and they trust me, and all these places are trusting me now. So I know internally, I know my worth. I know how good and how bad I am. And I'm not saying I'm good or bad. I'm just saying, like, I know. I know my place, and I think what it's missing a lot now in wrestling, independence especially. Nobody's self-aware. A lot of people have this. I'm not going to say a delusion of grandeur, but they think that they're perceived as sometimes better as they are, or they don't
know. I'll describe it, and I'll take a shot at it.
Sure.
They don't know their place in the locker room, and where they don't know how to self-evaluate their skill level. is what I think is happening on the indies from the outside, where you have people who think they're good and they're going to be good, but they're not at that level yet. And they think that they're a main eventer when there really should be the match before the main event. And if they do 4 of those, I guess, matches before the main event, they'll become a main eventer, but they want it now. And I think it's this idea that they just don't understand their skills. And when you don't understand your skills, you can't improve upon them. It's kind of like if you suck at promos and you know you suck at it, you can address it and train it. And that's what I see, because I see people who can cut a promo on a mic and come out and they're great on a mic, but their wrestling is a little bit shabby, but they're amazing on a mic. You know, to use a WWE example, Endo Amore is a perfect example. But the guy is amazing on the mic. He needs a little bit better wrestling ability and technical ability, but if he put in the work and he spent like 3 months working his ass off, he would become a decent technical wrestler. It is a great example. And I don't know where he is right now, but that was maybe when he first came up to WWE, is that if they legitimately put him in the Performance Center for a month and all he did was wrestling drills, he would have been so much better, minus his entire incident that happened.
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it for sure. I understand. I see your point in what you're saying, and I can agree to that. I can agree to a degree with that.
That's how I see it looking in, and I'm not looking out.
No, absolutely. Just being in, I just see. I know my worth. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm bad at. I know my place in the card. I know what I look like. I know what I can do, what I can't do. So I know my worth. I know what reality is. I have no. I know where I'm at. I get it.
You're not going on a mission with Becca to find scrunchies.
I didn't steal it. She's awesome anyway. She's great. But
I love her. She's so good. She's so good.
Yeah, it's I lost my train of thought right there. But what I was getting at is I know what I'm capable of, and I'm going to do it, and I love doing it, and I'm having so much fun doing it, and I'm never going to stop until people tell me I suck. Now, people tell me I suck every day. But when enough people say it, I'll quietly bow out. But until then, I'll do this till I'm 90. I don't care. That because I'm self-aware, I think gives me just a little, not an edge, but like I get it. But I love it. I'm having so much fun. I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life. But
so you even talk about self-awareness, because certain things shocked me that you have done, and obviously Lucky Pro Wrestling is a cool company, and you obviously teamed up with Tomahawk, and you had a last man standing match against Frank Champion and Shay Cash, and that was rather intense, for lack of a better word, and yeah, so that match shocked me, because I wouldn't have put money on that. I'm the first person to admit that I was wrong. I was wrong. Where I would have put money on that match, and I was very pleased with what happened in that match.
Oh, that match was so much fun. Again,
it was a good match. It was an enjoyable match. I felt that match.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. In the sense that, again, Tomahawk and I had been teaming all over the place for a long time. It was great. We had a feud going with the heavy hitters. They were a lot of fun to work with, and the culmination came down to that last team standing match. And we just went all out. You saw we wore boots, jeans tucked into the boots. We had our wife beaters on, and we just.
It was a war.
It was a war. We went out there and we did it, and I like crossing that off my bucket list as far as being able to have a match like that. And that was actually one of the first times that I was actually able to not brawl, but like really just gritty, just get into it. In a match where it was just a fight. It was a fight. It wasn't. There's nothing pretty about it. It was a fight, and it was a lot of fun. And I got the itch after that, and I do a lot more brawling now. So maybe it's the beginning of that.
Yeah, and to even just jump off of that, because obviously that is tag team wrestling, and then in the last 3 years, you've really done a lot of singles wrestling. And I think one of the places to talk is with Tomahawk, because the two of you have been tearing it up. Even when you were still on a tag team, you two tore it up. And there's all these matches that you had, and one of those matches was a dog collar match between the two of you. And that's an intense concept. It's crazy. I've heard stories about all that stuff. And obviously, if you have a bunch of stuff around your neck and you're attached, then breathing is a big thing, and a variety of other stuff can happen. And we've seen, and rest in peace, the match between Cody Rhodes and Brody Lee, and that dog collar match was insane. And obviously this one was as well, because there's no peaceful dog collar match. It's just
no. And I mean, out of all the matches I've ever had in my career, that was one of them. It was fun.
It's an intense match, and it's something
those
that
type of matches are intense. Personally, I wasn't too happy with it, but as violent as it was, I'm glad people like yourself absolutely enjoyed that, and that would be one of the matches I would say that Rip Bison, just Tomahawk Rip, whatever. When Rip and I when we wrestle each other, we've had some awesome matches, and we have had some other matches that weren't as awesome. I categorize that a little lower. I think we've had a lot better matches than that, but that match in itself was unique. It was the first time I think either of us had done that. So it was fun to do. I wish it had come off a little bit better. But I'm, what has happened. So,
yeah. And even to rip out Bison and Tomahawk, it's same person, everybody, in case you didn't know. I just like using Tomahawk. I think it sounds more badass than Rip Bison. Also, I like using Tomahawk. I like it. It's like
it's like a Pokemon evolution from fucking Charmeleon to Charizard. I don't know.
Yeah, this Rip Bison has evolved. Clearly, that's called
yes.
So, and then we'll have that conversation. And so many jokes can come out of this, because there's just so many things that could just. I could go on for the next hour on this topic alone. But obviously, the two of you have wrestled each other in so many different promotions. You just wrestled each other in Limitless again. And so obviously the two of you know each other so well also. And so that's just another thing where it's just good chemistry. You know what ticks. Obviously, Rip is a very intense wrestler. He's also probably one of the pillars. If there was a pillar list of Limitless wrestling, Rip is one of them. And so what is that like also? To just wrestle like? One of the pillars.
To wrestle what?
One of the pillars of Limitless wrestling. One of the standards. One of the people that's kind of, I don't want to say built Limitless, but when you think of Limitless, I think of Rip Bison immediately.
Oh, no, absolutely. Just being able to work at Limitless has been a what's the word I want to use? It's been an honor. It's been real. I'm very happy to be able to do that. It's a place I've wanted to get in for a while, and I finally have. And I showed them. I think I proved my worth. Like, I belong here. This is where I want to be right now. And to be able to wrestle there safely in 2020 has been absolutely fantastic, because there's been nothing going on in 2020.
I also think
has been going on, but not good stuff.
I also think, though, with Limitless, and this is to your benefit as well, where I think if they were doing the road 3 years ago, it would not have as much attention as it does in
Oh
20.
no. Oh, no, absolutely. The general audience, the wrestling audience, anybody, they're starving for wrestling. As great as WWE, AEW are in their respective natures, the independent scene and other promotions
Are exploding.
they should be exploding. Unfortunately, COVID put a stop to a lot of that, but Limitless has stuck it through, and they are putting content out on a weekly basis. I don't know of any other places that are doing that as safe as they're doing it, as often as they're doing it, and as good quality as they're doing it. And to be a part of that has been an honor for myself, and to show people that are watching on IWTV exactly what it is that Limitless can do. I am a new face there for sure. They have been doing this for a long time, but the people that have come out of there, I think their work speaks for itself. And I'm just, the first of a newer crop of guys to work with them, and I enjoy it. The people there are absolutely amazing. It is a safe atmosphere. It is a fun atmosphere, and we get to kick ass in wrestling, and that I hope happens a lot more this year in 2021, both at Limitless and just everywhere else. I'm so excited for shows to come back in front of live crowds of just people feeding off that energy.
And I think the other thing about Limitless also is that I like the fact that people are starving for content, and to even go beyond, wrestling. Look, the Mandalorian is out there, Star Wars, other stuff's coming out. And obviously we have WandaVision coming out, but that stuff is all episodic weekly. I just went through Cobra Kai in a day. Like, I'm legitly out of content in which I watched the third season in a complete day, loved it, worth every penny of Netflix for me. My point that I'm trying to make is that when I make it a priority for the most part to watch Limitless, and I enjoy Limitless,
Absolutely.
and I enjoy because I want new content. It's like all of, on Friday and Saturday, IWTV's got 2 events. Like, I like that stuff because now it's, nothing's going on. A lot of stuff is delayed. There's no movies out there. And so I think it's beyond wrestling is that people are starving for content. And
Absolutely.
then TV, since it's on IWTV and it's available, it's also available on replay. After I'm done here, I'm going to be watching the latest episode. So if you did something on that episode, please don't ruin it for me because I want to be shocked. But it's obviously pre-taped to everybody. I want to make that clear. It's he's not running if he was in a match, to do this interview. But that's how I feel about it. And so I think it's great, and I also think that you're getting in front of a lot of other people. Because as I stated, I discovered you through Limitless first. People are discovering, and there's a big community where, and I'm sure you see, and I'm sure you have a list of people who tweet at you and engage with you, and then every week we're doing it, every show you're on, you probably get like 15 tweets from me somewhere in that hour, and there's like 100 of us to 200 or 300 of us who are watching this, if not more.
Yeah. No, I give Limitless the road a lot of credit for myself being noticed, which is a lot harder to do in 2020 for obvious reasons. But yeah, no, absolutely, because in wrestling, if you stay in the same area, you're only going to get seen by the same people. You gotta go elsewhere. You gotta branch out. I've spent most of my career in New England. I have no regrets on that, but I would love to just spread out and wrestle everywhere. I've not had that opportunity, much to my own fault, obviously, like most people can say. But to be able to spread out and get more people to see you, get more people to like you, more people to hate you too. But hey, to each their own. Tomato, potato. But I'm very thankful for that. So it's a lot of fun.
And do you also feel, though, that given that Limitless also, and IWTV is also global, where at this point it doesn't matter. So I'm in Connecticut. So I don't know if Connecticut is New England, but prior, about 2 months ago, I was in DC, which is definitely not New England. And so obviously I was watching New England wrestling in a whole different part. And so obviously, given that it's streamed and all that stuff, that has helped tremendously, in my opinion,
Yes.
expand wrestlers' viewpoints, where 3 years ago that wasn't really in play, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In play later on.
No, yeah, you're right. You do know what states are in New England, right?
I actually have no idea. I've never thought about what states are in New England.
Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. It ends at the Vermont-Massachusetts border into New York. New York is not New England. Everything to the east of there is, up until you get to Canada.
You have to understand, I am a new Connecticut resident of 17.
Oh, you're a new Connecticut resident. Oh, okay. All right.
17 days in, everybody.
Okay. Where are you from before that?
I was a New Yorker, and then I lived in DC for 4.5 years. So I lived in New York for like 20 years.
But, okay, I digress. That's fine. All right.
You learn something every day. You learn something every day.
Yes. Yeah. Fair enough. Maine used to be part of Massachusetts. There you go.
You learn something every day.
Yeah, there you go.
It's so bad. But to even talk further about Limitless, since we're on the topic, obviously Rip Bison Tomahawk, and we could also talk about TJ Crawford. And TJ is all over the place, and he's killing it. And he's one of those guys that's just killing it all over. And he just had a match at Synergy. And so he's great. And you had a fantastic match with him. So what was it like to wrestle him? Because he's a guy that people know.
No, that was a lot of fun, actually. I really enjoyed wrestling with him. He can go. He's he can fly. He can go 1,000,000 miles an hour. So that was a lot of fun. You know, my goal in that match was to ground him, slow him down more to my style, a little more brawling, a little more slower. I like to let things sit in. I like to really show what I'm doing. And just to take those two styles, I guess what I'm getting at, and mix them, and to get a result like we saw, minus him winning, was absolutely a lot of fun. So I really enjoyed that. He is a great kid. He has a big future ahead of him, and I'm glad to see that evolve in forward. And we had a good match, and I hope to wrestle him again in the future.
And now you did practice safe COVID protocols in this match.
Absolutely.
You did not share the wine.
No. This does not get shared. This is my wine. I mean, it doesn't matter because I took the breathalyzer and I was under the legal limit.
But it's important that you didn't share it because, God forbid, we're in a situation and now people are saying you were rude. You were not being very nice about it, but it's your wine and fuck them, right?
It's my personal safety. That's my wine. So
that's how I view it.
Sharing is daring, and don't you dare do that. So
the last time I shared something, and everybody else can fill in the blank right there. But now, to even go backwards and to talk about another person that you've wrestled, and you wrestled this person also a lot, because a lot of these people are all in the New England area, and Elia Markopoulos. And he's another one that I think has been somewhat discovered due to Limitless, and I didn't know who he was until Limitless came about. And so
I wrestled him. God, this is back in DPW about 10 years ago. Was I think maybe a little 11, 12 years ago was the first time I wrestled with him. He's such a great guy. And his stuff in the ring is so crisp, so fluid. It's just so easy to work with. I had a lot of fun in that match, especially it had been so long before I'd been in the ring with him versus the first time and now, and seeing how we have evolved, because in this business, especially in New England, there's so much good wrestling and good wrestlers in New England, but there's so many promotions too. So there's, you're all over. You can be at 100 different places all over, and you don't run into the same guy for, you could even be months or years. Versus other territories in the United States, especially, I don't think they have as many territories not territories. They don't have as many promotions in such a close knit area that New England does, because the states are smaller. We got more bigger cities all over the place versus somewhere out in the Midwest or anything. It's just longer drives to get to places. So there's just so much going on in New England. Just boom, 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 boom. That's what I like about this area. You can work an entire career and never leave New England. I don't recommend it, but you got to branch out into other places. But I digress. Again, I left my point 20 years ago. Being able to be in the ring with him after such a long time apart was very good. And I enjoyed that, just to see how we've evolved and how our styles mesh.
Yeah, and I think that's also really cool as well, where I think it's nice when you wrestle somebody and you had a few matches with them when you're younger, and then you haven't seen them for a while, and they're like, oh, damn, he got good. Oh, he added this to his repertoire, and I added this to mine, and then your matches obviously have evolved across the entire, spectacle, and then you've gained, I guess, experience is the word I'm looking for here. So I think that's cool too. And then even just to test yourself, it's kind of like, saying, okay, how far have I come? Because sometimes, we need those measure sticks to remind us how far we've come and reevaluate a variety of things. So I think that's awesome. And I also think it's really cool that it was on a bigger stage, because I think The Road and Limitless and season 2 is a much bigger stage than anything that happened 10 years ago, just because of the internet and everything that's happening. Also, there's just less wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then speaking about New England, because I do want to talk about this, let's talk about Mark Sterling. Because he is very, very, very interesting with everything that he's done as a manager. You were in a no disqualification match with him for the BPW Bedlam title, and obviously this is he also was the manager for Alex Reynolds and John Silver for a little bit, and then sort of a trade and beyond. And obviously you also teamed up with him, so you've had a mini program with him, I guess it's called.
Yeah, no, he was somebody that again, one of those cases where I had wrestled with him very, very briefly when I first broke into the business. And then he had left and then came back, and my God, is that man killing it. He is phenomenal in everything that he does. It is like a totally different person. And I loved working with him. Both teaming with him and working with him in the ring as opponents. He's just so smart, pun intended. But he's very creative with a lot of things that he does, and he gets it very well. So just to be able to collaborate with him was just so much fun on whatever side that you're on. Heel or face, teammates or opponents. He brings an aura to the matches. This air of I'm blanking on the word, but this regalness, this again, I can't describe it, but basically all eyes are on him all the time. He knows that, and the crowd is zoomed in on him. Anything that man does, and anything that he does is worth seeing. I have only high praise for him, both in and out of the ring.
And so, obviously, I always like to pick people's brains who are smarter than me or more creative or see things differently, because obviously that's how we evolve and become better and become smarter and see things differently. And so, what is that like for you, even though you've been doing this almost for 20 years, and obviously this stuff came out later on in your career? What was that like for you to even get that knowledge and his input thrown into you? And obviously, I would imagine it shifted your position a little bit on how you do and wrestle and move forward.
Oh, absolutely. There is a good select few people in this business that wrestle on a regular basis that I hold in high esteem. That I will probably never tell them to their face. That I make sure to watch all their matches, whether it's at the show or afterwards, to learn something. Because you're never done learning, which is great. And some stuff you can pick up very well. Other stuff, it's a little harder to do based on who you are as an individual in the ring and whatnot. But it's just good to pick their brains and just see where their head is at, because you may have one mindset in your match and be like, "Hey, listen, I got this to do tonight. I know you've done this in the past, or you've done something. Well, here's what I'm thinking. What do you think?" And you just mesh back and forth. Yeah, that works, or that doesn't. Well, try this. Oh, yeah, maybe I'll do that. And it becomes better because of their input, or your character becomes better, or you start doing something different because of their direct or indirect input. And the more you do that, the more shows and more off time, you just become a better wrestler, a better worker, a better persona overall.
Yeah, he's just so gifted, and everything he touches is just gold. And it's just one of those things where he just knows how to, I think you said it perfectly, get all eyes on him, and then whatever is next to him also gets attention.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Not trying to blow the guy here, but fucking awesome.
And so, and to talk about another New England sort of mainstay in many ways, in that you had a match with Davey N. And Davey N is killing it right now too, and that's just another, mainstay in that entire New England world. So what was that like facing her? Because she's doing really well right now.
Oh no, she's awesome. She fucking hits hard, which is awesome. She lays her punches and her shots in, which I like. No, she's so chill and cool to work with. Just very easygoing, which I really like. And she makes sure her shit lands. So you when it's coming, you know it's coming, and that's what you really run, especially in intergender matches. Especially, it's just you want everything to look fucking good, especially on the female side when they're hitting the males. It's if it looks like shit, that crowd's gonna be like, dude, like what the fuck? But dude, you fucking rung my bell a few times. Not in a bad way, just fucking awesome. But no, I see all the stuff she's doing now, and very high praise for her. And I think the match that we did was outdoors in a baseball field. We did that first match, and then a tag match a few months later. But both those matches, and the second one I actually teamed with Mark against her and Skylar, was a lot of fun, and then the singles match as well. But yeah, both of those matches were just they're just very enjoyable. Just to get in the ring with somebody, male or female, just where you connect, and it's just you're on the same page. Like, yeah, it's just there's no pressure. It's just like you're on your A game. You're never off your A game, but it's just so natural that just like, fine, fuck it, whatever. So it works.
And I think Davey N is very much underestimated. Davey N was on my other show a while back before she was killing it, like 3, maybe 4 years ago now. And I think that she's underestimated. I think a lot of people, even right now, are starting to get to know her. And I think that
Underrated.
underrated is a good way to put it, I think. And I think that people are starting to say, oh, shit. Like, especially after that Christian Casanova match. I think that match really changed perceptions on who she is and where she's going. And I think that's a really important thing just to acknowledge, is that she is a New England mainstay in many
Absolutely.
ways. And that she is one of those people that if you're in New England and you haven't wrestled her, you're not really in New England. I think like, that's how I view it, and I think it's super important to talk about it. And now there's one more match I want to talk about. I think it's the most important match you've had, and it's with Brian McKay, I think, or McKay.
Brian McKay, yes.
And it's basically wine on a bottle, or a wine bottle on a pole.
Wine bottle on a pole match, yes.
And so I don't really fully understand how this match happened. Yeah, I don't understand how you put a wine bottle on a pole. I don't know if there was something in the wine. Was it your wine?
It's your basic object on a pole match, going back to the old coal miner's glove on a pole. And basically the object of the match is whoever gets the weapon can use it. So there's nothing in it. We had multiple bottles up there, as you saw in the match, and it was, it was a lot of fun. Just beating each other up back and forth. I finally got the wine bottle first, but I couldn't hit him with it. He kept countering everything. And then when he finally got it, he let me have it. Fucking pin me with it. But that was so much fun to do. We had a bitter feud for months and months and months. That was actually up in Canada, New Brunswick, for NWE. That was just a lot of fun. I think I say that a lot today in this interview, how much fun I'm having. Maybe that says something about how I view a lot of my opponents as just fun.
And I do think this match was fun.
It was a lot of fun. It was really good. I enjoyed it.
Because one of the things about this match that makes it fun is that you're the wine guy. You come out and you have a bottle of wine. It's your character. You don't share your wine. You're obviously French. You come off as a wine connoisseur. And so obviously it's your weapon. And that's the thing about it. So it's like it's your match. Like if there was an object on a pole match, it wouldn't be, a baseball bat. It would make no sense. But the fact that you have a wine bottle there, and then it's your weapon, and then he's trying to use it, you're trying to use it, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, this now is your weapon. You have this French persona. You're a wine drinker, and there you go.
Yeah, no, I mean, months and months beforehand, I would always just lay him out with the wine bottle, sneak attacks, hitting him with it, you name it. And then he finally stole it from me. So the only way for me to get it back was wine bottle on a pole. And I got it back on my head, shattered. But that was, that's maybe not once in a career match, but that's very unique. I don't think it's been done anywhere else before. If it has, please somebody link me the match. I want to watch it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before. I mean, the closest thing I've seen is when Chris Jericho was sending CM Punk alcohol, and then he smashed him. I think that's like the closest thing I've seen to that, and even then, that's still a pretty distant cousin in many ways.
And that's the great thing about professional wrestling is you can do something new that has never been done before ever, and you can do something that has never been done before in a ring that they just that makes it new. Something wrestling's been around forever essentially, but you can still do something new. Back years and years and decades later that people haven't seen before. So you just constantly reinventing the wheel, essentially.
Yeah, and that's why I love wrestling, where I thought in 2020, given that wrestling has had what I think is a fair assumption to say sort of a down year, that a lot of stuff has been reinvented. You know, companies like ICW have reinvented themselves. Companies like, you know, Camp Leapfrog have reinvented themselves or came out of nothing and have put together things. The Road didn't exist prior to 2020. Limitless Wrestling did, but the concept of the Road didn't exist. And it's a great concept of the framework of where we're going down the road. Hi, my name is Danger Kid. We're going down the road. No, I'm not really Danger Kid. But all things thrown out there, I think it's super interesting how wrestling has constantly reimagined itself. And that kind of leads me into what I want to talk about, because we covered a lot of your career, and I missed a boatload of stuff. I'm the first person. I missed like a good 6 years of your single career in Connecticut.
No, it's fine. A lot of it's not worth mentioning.
But I do want to talk about it because I kind of just highlighted something where obviously COVID has changed the game. And there is the pre-COVID era of wrestling, there's the COVID era, and then there's the post-COVID era. And I don't think we're into the post-COVID era just yet.
No.
We're still in the COVID era of wrestling. And I'm curious how you have been affected by COVID and how the wrestling business from a wrestler's perspective has been affected. Because I'm a fan looking in, and I'm curious how it's looking out.
Well, I've been affected by COVID. I work from home, which is great. Wrestling-wise, COVID just, I don't want to use the word destroyed, but COVID basically put a dead stop to pretty much all professional wrestling, with the exception of, you know, the WWE and AEW. So for independent wrestling, it has been very hard to stay relevant, to stay in focus without matches, without content. So that's what I like with Limitless, and a few other places are doing, you know, the weekly episodic wrestling to stay relevant, which is great. But again, everything is just kind of in stasis right now. We don't know when this is going to end, if it's going to end anytime soon.
What the outcome's going to be following.
Well, yeah, what the outcome's going to be, what it's going to look like when it comes back. Will more people be wearing masks and stuff? I have no idea. I really don't. I'd like to see it come back better than ever, because people are going to be in this hunger for just something, and to get together in a giant crowd for wrestling would be huge. But again, you can't bang on that. You can only do what you've been doing. So in the interim, going to the gym, staying in shape, just staying in wrestling shape. Wrestling shape is completely different than any other thing. The only thing that gets you in wrestling shape is going to a ring. You can run and do cardio and lift, but when you get into the ring, it's still going to feel different. A lot of people just haven't been in a ring in months, almost a year, in a couple more months. So that's hard, but it's just staying sharp, staying on your A game as far as what the future is going to hold, because we don't know. But
I'll add to that, and this is my thoughts on it, and I'm curious how you would react to it, is that we're going to get out of COVID. There's no question about that. I think it's a relatively safe bet that there's a vaccination. Now, what that time frame looks like, is it 6 months, is it a year, or is it 3 years? I don't know. I think that that's a relatively safe bet. What I'm curious about, and I'm curious about your thought process, is that, so I was just speaking to a wrestler before you and I did an hour interview, and we had this discussion, is that are there ever going to be 500 fan shows back again? You know, because I mean, I just don't know when. I don't know how that's going to happen. And so that's something that I am very curious about, because is it going to be masks? Is it going to be more spaced out? Is it going to be outside? And that's everything that I'm worrying about. And also, I don't know who's ready to jump into the pot so quickly, because if COVID ended at, let's say we come out and we're all good by June of 2023 or 2022, I might wait till like July and it's warm outside to go to a show, and I might purposely go to an outside show because I'm not so jumping back into, a 500-person, venue.
Yeah.
So quickly.
There's a few things with that. One, with the introduction, you say, of the vaccine, I think a lot of people will take it and be good with it. And they will go to a show, indoor or outdoor. Hey, I got the vaccine. If you're coughing a foot next to me, whatever, I'm fine. Other people don't give a shit. So this guy's coughing next to me. I either have a mask or I don't have a mask. I'm fine. Other people, a lot hesitant. No, I don't believe in the vaccine, or I don't want to go out at all. So it's going to be up to those. It's going to be up to everybody individually. I think what we're going to see is a big influx of larger crowds, predominantly, and this is just my guess, in the South, where the I don't know how to word this properly.
You're trying to where people are more adventurous.
You know what? That is a very good way of saying they're more adventurous.
I'm trying to be very polite here.
No. And I'm not trying to be negative here, but a lot of people in, especially in when I say South, I mean Southeast, Southwest.
You mean one state? You mean one state?
One state? Whoa, which one are you thinking of?
I'm thinking Florida, because there's a lot of wrestling going down in Florida right now.
Oh, well, yeah, for obvious reasons, Florida, yes. But I'm thinking even, the whole, Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and even, New Mexico, Arizona, California.
I'm saying Florida for a reason, because ICW is doing No Peace Undergrounds down there, and they make their fans wear masks down there.
And that's great, and you see that in the audience at Limitless. You see the fans in the audience with masks spaced apart 6 feet. I mean that's great. But I think people are going to take their own precautions, what they want to do or not. And I think when wrestling finally can do, when each state says it's okay to have a certain amount of people in one indoor closed space together above, let's say, 100, 150, I think that's when the wrestling shows will start coming back, and then it'll be up to the individual people. The chairs will be up. If people, there will probably be a social distance area. I don't know. Every place is going to be run different, but it will be up to.
And every state is going to be done differently.
Oh, no, absolutely. That's why I think the southern state. Yeah.
California's not going to be the same as Oklahoma, in which
not at all. So it's gonna, it's gonna be different state by state, and maybe that'll mean less meet and greets for everybody. Maybe the less multi-man matches. I don't know. But it will be up to the fans, and it'll be up to the performers to decide what they are comfortable with. You may see more masked wrestlers now. Who knows? I can't predict the future, but
overall, you think it's going to come back, and when it's safe to. It's
definitely going to come back, and it's going to come back in stages. Absolutely. I'm hoping, if this vaccine proves to be good and there's no major drawbacks as far as the
what it does.
And what?
what it does. No major drawbacks on.
Oh no, no contraindications or no um, side effects that go with it. Now, we're never going to know any long-term effects of it, but I mean, let's be honest. What are the long-term side effects of any vaccination? Or have they killed? I mean, I doubt it. In 10 years, it'd be like, oh, anyone that's taken a vaccination, you know, they have an 80% chance of an increased heart attack. I don't think that's going to be the case. But again, you don't know. I trust science more than anything else. So I think we're going to be okay. Hopefully, in the spring and summer, we're going to start seeing a few places opening up, a few more places with shows. You know, personally, I am a first responder as an EMT, so I will be getting the vaccination shortly. I have no issue with it at all. So that's my personal choice. So we'll see what happens. But again, nobody knows the future, so it's all up in the air. Who knows? We all be dead tomorrow. It's fuck it.
Yeah, a meteor could hit Earth and we could just all be wiped out.
You know, at the end of the day, nobody lives forever. Everybody dies. Life is what you make of it, and then you die. So what you do is your own prerogative. I will not judge you on that. But don't judge other people for what they do as long as it doesn't personally affect you and your health and your well-being. Personally, I mean, fuck it.
And on that note, I think this is a great opportunity because I think we just covered a lot of stuff. And obviously, that's the most controversial thing that's out there because everybody and every wrestler has a different view on it.
Yeah, we should discuss politics and religion next. Absolutely.
I think you know, given everything that's happened today, I'm going to take a pass on it. I'm going to take a nice long reflection before I speak because a lot of things happened in America today that I think people have to take a deep breath.
Yeah, I know. You know, a lot of things have happened today. It's huge. I tried the new Mountain Dew watermelon. It was okay, but yeah, I guess other things happened too. I don't know.
I think when I'm saying this though, in all seriousness, it's the PSA of the day here. You know, take a nice long reflection because things are we need a deep breath collectively. But
as a country,
and you know, as we also need civil dialogue, and we need adults in the room to each other. More importantly, now than ever. And unfortunately, I think there's a division in this country where some people know how to speak to each other when we all disagree, and others don't. And that's a problem in this country collectively. But I digress on that. And you could interpret that however you want, everybody out there. But I do want to give you an opportunity to promote yourself because I know that you have a Twitter. I don't know if you have an Instagram. I don't know if you have merch. I don't know if you have a Facebook page. I don't know if you have upcoming dates that are wrestling that people can find you on. I don't know.
You can find me on Zachary Pierre Beaulieu on Facebook, my fan page, ZPB Aristocrat on Instagram, ZPB Wrestles on Twitter. I do have a really awesome shirt coming out that I got made up, and it's fucking amazing. But I am not releasing it until shows start because I really, really want to do it. Just picture ZPB mixed with Mortal Kombat, and it's a really, really good shirt. I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan, so it's really going to be great. But again, with no shows, it's hard to promote any sort of merch. So that will be coming out once I get shows back. I'm humble in the sense that look me up online, search me on the internet, look at my matches, let me know what you think. If I suck, I suck. If I'm great, and tell me about it. But what you see is what you get. I've been doing this for almost 20 years. I love being a professional wrestler. I have evolved as much as I can, little by little. I am a tag team whore, and I love this business. And I have made some of my best friends in life from it. I have met some amazing people. I have have been shit on. I have been praised. I have done so much, and I've also done so little. And I always want to do more. But I'm here. And let me know what you think. Honestly, I credit Limitless for people seeing me a little bit more. And
I think they've done a little bit more than that.
You what?
I think they've done a little bit. See you a little bit. I think they've seen you a lot because Limitless is giving you a big platform, and it's not just
absolutely, especially during COVID. So it's absolutely great.
Anything on IWTV gives anybody a bigger platform. Just by nature of the way it is, what they do, it's really a good opportunity.
Yeah, and I'm a big wine drinker, so if anybody wants to send me wine, I'm not going to say no. Well, I'm also a huge pop culture fan, so when I saw your pop culture thing, woo.
We'll talk after this about a bunch of stuff pop culture wise, but
yeah, absolutely.
I've been saying this to everybody. The 90 interviews I did for season 1, the 150 that are going to be done for season 2 that are coming. 150 for season 2. We are 148 to go as of the ending of this one.
So okay, fair enough.
We've accomplished 2 so far, but I've been saying it where you have to support indie wrestling.
Absolutely.
If you enjoy indie wrestling, you love it, you have to support indie wrestling, and there's a variety of ways to support indie wrestling. Obviously, merch is one of the best ways. So obviously watching it first and foremost is the way to support it. Going to shows is super important. But please be healthy. I don't want anybody in the middle of COVID saying, I got to go to this show and risk my life. Stream it is another way to watch it. But then when people have merch, you have to buy their merch. Obviously, ZPB doesn't have merch at the moment. It's coming. It's coming, guys. Don't worry.
I could take a risk and release some new stuff now, but I'm gonna wait.
I'm letting everybody know it's coming.
To me, I don't know, but
it's coming. But in the interim, while you wait, there's no excuse for not following anybody on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook pages, on Instagrams. All that stuff is free. And you could pick one, you could pick all, or whatever your personal preference is. There's just no excuse anymore because all that stuff is free. It is legitimately the click of a button. And one of the things that's nice about Twitter, and I make the argument on Twitter, is that when you're watching wrestling, you can tweet at people and people respond. Wrestlers respond. And I guarantee you that if you tweet something and say, oh my God, ZPB just drank the wine and didn't share, he's probably going to respond. By definition, during a Limitless show, whether during it or after, most likely, and that is super important. So if you want to support indie wrestling, obviously you should be watching it, and then you should be tweeting about it because it lets other people know, it lets the wrestler know, it's good feedback, it lets the promoter know what wrestlers are popular, what wrestlers draw, as well as it makes people feel really good and also gets people's algorithms up on social media. That's something that is super important to understand and analyze. And the only excuse you have is if you don't have internet or electricity. And if that's the case, you got a boatload of bigger problems than watching wrestling at the moment. If you don't have
probably Amish, so yeah.
So if you don't have electricity and internet and you somehow are watching this, God help you. Please tell me how. And you should probably get some help. And there's a million people to help you out there. So please, if you're in that boat, you have an excuse. Anything else, you're just not being a good team player and you're being somewhat lazy. And now you have to go follow people on Twitter. So on that note, I will give you the final word.
And now for something completely different. Big Monty Python fan. I don't know what else to say. Thank you. I really do appreciate you having me on here. And I look forward to the return of wrestling in 2021, whenever that may be, sooner than later. Willing, you utilize those thoughts and prayers that don't work for anything other than nothing. So,
Well, I appreciate you coming on because obviously I
no,
love
appreciate
interviewing wrestlers. I love interviewing people who are somewhat undiscovered and are talented and are killing it and are really, doing some amazing work. Obviously, I've seen a lot of your stuff and I did a lot of homework.
Yeah, you did. I am very I'm impressed with the amount of with the amount of stuff you've done. You've looked way back, maybe
And,
farther back than I would have been wanting you to go. But no, I appreciate that.
and so I just want to say thank you for being on, and I absolutely have a blast. And at some point, we are going to have to redo this entire thing and talk more about stuff because there's so much to talk about in so little time. And I appreciate
Absolutely,
you being on. And everybody, go watch Limitless.
absolutely, for sure. Thank you again. Really do appreciate it.